Stay ahead of the curve and get updates on the latest trends in politics, government, policies, education, economy, social development, amongst others.
We're happy to announce today that both the federal government and the organized labor have agreed on an increase on the 62,000 naira minimum wage.
Join
Ayodeji Ajishope
and
Adedamola Lafenwa
on from the dailies every weekday from 9:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. on Solutions 93.9 FM as they dive into the headlines with in-depth analysis and feedback from you on different stories from the national dailies. Start your day by gaining fresh perspectives, uncovering the story behind the story, and join the conversation. Because your voice matters. From the dailies, the conversation never stops.
Okay, to all our esteemed listener all over the globe, we say happy Easter Monday. The celebration continues. It's another public holiday and it's another beautiful Monday morning, but this time it's not a working, it's a public holiday Monday morning, but not for some of us in the media field. I mean, the show must go on, like we always say. The show must go on. Okay, my name is Adedamola Lafenwa. Welcome you to From the Dailies on Solutions 93.9 FM, the program where we get to take you through the front pages of our newspapers. And I have Comrade Ayodeji Ajishope on the Easter Monday edition of From the Dailies on Solutions 93.9 FM. Good morning to you, Comrade.
It's a good morning to you, my dear comrade brother, and of course to our listeners and viewers. It's Easter Monday, especially to the Christian faithfuls, those who profess the Christian faith. And I tell them that, yes, as you celebrate, you must also reflect, because if you say, I am a Christian, that's a weighty one.
Weighty in what sense?
Weighty in the sense that those who were first referenced as Christians, they were not the one that says, I am a Christian. It was what people noticed about them.
Okay, the perception of people about them.
I said, these ones must have been with Christ, the way they conduct themselves.
Okay, in essence, now, if you say you're a Christian, I mean, your lifestyle must be must reflect.
Yeah.
Christ.
So when people ask me, are you a Christian? I say, I profess the Christian faith.
Okay.
It's not for you to decide whether I look like one.
Okay. What a wonderful Easter Monday message there coming from Reverend Ayodeji Ajishope this morning on the program. Okay, interestingly, well, Mondays will always be Mondays. One will have expected that today being a public holiday, the papers will be scanty, but the front pages are loaded again this morning. And I have about 5 newspapers, the Nigerian Tribune, the Vanguard, the Punch, the Nation, and of course the Guardian newspaper. Taking my first shot at the Nigerian Tribune newspaper this Monday morning, 21st of April 2025. Kuka Bakari Atiku knock dissect Tinubu's government. And lots of things under the riders. Nigeria becoming a national morgue, Bishop Kuka. Tinubu can't solve Nigeria's worsening insecurity. Atiku. Mr. President, please stop playing God. Tunde Bakari. The stories can be found on pages 3 and 4 of the Nigerian Tribune. Moving away from that, SEC to crack down on influencers, bloggers promoting unregistered investment schemes. DG. Away from that to Omokri. Tinubu's appointment reflects national character. Page 22 of the Nigerian Tribune has that story. And another one, Tunde Onokoya breaks a chess marathon world record. Ban open grazing, Great Border Security Forces, David Mark tells FG. And a very sad one here coming from Lagos State. Another building collapse. Lagos building collapse. Death toll rises to 5. 15 rescued alive. I mean, I saw the video of a 4-story building. One would have imagined the number of people that will be trapped under that debris.
And then we'll get some knee-jerk reaction from the Lagos State Building Control Agency now.
I wonder when it is when building collapse that you see them saying that, oh, this thing didn't get approved. You start trading blames. Okay, they didn't get approval from us. If you find out somebody approved the erection of that particular building.
You remember that terrible collapse in Ikoyi, in which even the promoter died along with it?
Yes.
I mean, you get approval for a 5-story structure, and then you went to 9, and then they were putting the story top and on top of
And
each
on
other,
top.
and nobody stopped them.
If time permits us, we'll look into that story as well. To 2027, PDP NWC meets next week to consider governor's recommendations. Okay, before I leave the front page of the Nigerian Tribune, there is this one. AFDB president, African leaders, to African leaders, build industries to create more jobs. When you export raw materials, that's the door to poverty, he says. Away from the Nigerian Tribune, let's take a look at the Vanguard newspaper. Insecurity, Danjuma, Atiku, Koka, Bakari, others rage, and riders. Defend yourselves against bandits, Danjuma tells Nigerians. This is coming from a former Chief of Army Staff. Nigeria bleeding. Please bring us down from this cross. Kuka begs Tinubu. Tinubu gallivanting across Europe as Nigeria bleeds. Atiku. We must rejig our security philosophy. Bakari. Tinubu should stop playing God. Bakari. Page 10 of the Vanguard Super has that story. I heard you sigh when I said Otishele. I mean, when the former Chief of Army Staff is now telling Nigerians to defend ourselves.
I think he's been consistent about that.
Well, I think he has been. We'll hear his voice on this program as well today. Now, 2027 presidency. No candidate can win without North. Baba Ahmed. Baba Ahmed. Now, SEC to celebrities, influencers, bloggers. Stop promoting SEC to celebrities.
Okay.
You know, all these Ponzi schemes, if you notice over the years, they are always being pushed or being promoted by influencers, by celebs and everything. You see the likes of, I don't want to mention names, saying that, okay, come on, they'll make them the ambassadors in order to lure Nigerians into that.
Well.
So now they are saying here that there's a stern warning to the influencers, to celebrities and bloggers. And there's a particular paper, I think the Nation newspaper, that says such influencers and celebrities risk jail term.
What do they mean?
I mean, looking at the Nation newspaper, Ponzi scheme influencers risk imprisonment.
After the fact?
After the fact? What do you mean after the fact?
After maybe $800 million or thereabout. Oh no, 1.something trillion. They said went down the drain.
But a step must be taken.
So after the fact. I mean, man, somebody was telling me stories about what happened.
Are you saying that it's like medicine after death or kind of?
Medicine after death now.
After luring people into it. Well, I think it's a good one.
People allowed themselves to be lured into it.
Okay, moving away from that. Retirees abandon pension plan over failed scheme. Annuity uptake crashes by 76%. Experts call for NDIC structure in insurance sector. Affected annuitant lament. Okay. Naira for crude. FG plans fresh crude cargoes for Dangote refinery. Page 8. Death toll in Lagos building collapse rises to 5. 15 rescued. Page 6 of the Vanguard as to that story. told you the papers are quite loaded this Monday morning. Okay, killings. Shetima visit Plateau today as Danjuma calls for self-defense. Page 7 of the Punch newspaper. Presidency pushes back as Bakari Kuka criticized Tinubu's policies. Emergency. PDP governors get Supreme Court hearing date this week. Page 7 of the Punch has that story. Power crisis. FD turns to bank for $23 billion lifeline. Okay, the biggest story on the front page of the Punch newspaper. Interest boom. 9 local banks generate 14 trillion naira from loans. Our banks profited from lending in 12 months amid economic pressure. Okay, state police off agenda as NEC meets Thursday. And then another one. Judgment analysis. Report me to LPDC. Falana dares Wike. Okay, moving away from the Punch, let me quickly run through the front page of the Guardian newspaper. U.S. gives quit notice to international students with cancelled visas. Okay, Baba Ahmed says no Nigerian can be president without North. ACF blames Nigeria's woes on corruption, nepotism, bad leadership. Despair in Benue, Plateau, as killings hit over 284 in 3 months. Another one,
Where is our president?
Is out of the country.
MIA, missing in action.
Okay, I reserve my comment on that. iCost, others caught 62% off internet access in Nigeria, others. Okay, Plateau Benue killings may undermine Tinubu's 2027 bid, Vasta claims. Nation descending into tyranny. 10th National Assembly spineless, says Bakari. Okay, Easter, Khan urges Christians to promote dialogue, reconciliation. And one more story from the Guardian newspaper. SEC warns bloggers, influencers against promoting unregistered investments. It's 16 minutes to 10 on Solutions 93.9 FM. It's from the dailies, the Easter Monday edition. Okay, comrade, let's go straight to the business of the day now. Looking at many people have come out to say one or two things about the state of the nation, and we have, according to the Nigerian Tribune, we have Reverend Bishop Kuka, we have Tunde Bakari, we have Atiku saying something, and criticizing the government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But let's take a listen at Tunde Bakari's statement. I mean, Tunde Bakari is somebody that has been, apart from being a man of God, he has been a staunch APC member. I remember that he also aspired to become the president in 2023.
And paid 100 million naira.
And paid 100 million naira to buy the form for the form. He even attended the convention. He participated. He took part in the convention where they had to appoint some. But it baffles me when you see, when I heard what he said concerning the state of the nation. Let's take a listen at Tunde Bakari statement.
At the center of this political banditry is the motor park brand of politics, nurtured by the old brigade politicians, and in recent times by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Mr. President, it is through your influence that the Nigerian National Assembly has become a haven for legislative rascality. Mr. President, it's under your watch that the National Assembly has become an extension of the executive, grossly violating the principles of separation of powers and rubber stamping the whims and caprices of your office, all while singing the international anthem of psychoviolence on your mandate, we shall stand. Mr. President, thanks to your political machinations, Nigeria is now bedeviled by a captured National Assembly, the most ineffective in its checks and balances role since the start of the Fourth Republic. In 2006, the Fourth National Assembly had the audacity to reject the tenure extension bid of a sitting president. In 2010, the Sixth National Assembly summoned the courage to stand against the power hijacking cabal and restored Nigeria to the path of constitutionality by invoking the doctrine of necessity. In 2011, the House of Representatives of the 7th National Assembly had the courage to elect its leaders, as did the Senate of the 8th National Assembly in 2015, defying executive interference. This National Assembly, the 10th, has by its unconstitutional endorsement of the president's abuse of powers proven to be the most spineless in our recent history. Through its actions and inactions, the National Assembly has in effect become the 48th member of the president's cabinet. While a cabinet minister by the name of Wike, is it Wike or Wike or Wakeep? While a cabinet minister has more or less become a third-time state governor in Rivers State, pampered by the indulgences of the president. Recent events have made it clear to Nigerians that at this assembly being placed in 2006, when the third-term agenda was proposed, our democracy would have since morphed into one of Africa's lamentable tales of sit-tight dictatorship. To the president of the Nigerian Senate, who has not heeded the call to subject himself to an unbiased investigation, to clear his name of the allegations leveled against him, and under whose leadership the National Assembly has become a carry-go legislature, hiding under the umbrella of technicalities and a dubious voice voting system. I leave you and your conscience with the words of Frederic Bessières, former deputy of the French National Assembly. He said, and I quote, "When plunder becomes a way of life for a group of men in a society, over the course of time, they create for themselves a legal system that authorizes it and a moral code that glorifies it." To the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, under whose brand of politics the institution of legislative oversight is collapsing and our democracy is faced with an existential threat, I say, Mr. President, Nigeria is too delicate for this kind of politics. If this state capture was what you meant by Emilokan, it is an anticlimax that can only be counterproductive at the end. I urge you, Mr. President, to think deeply and reflect on these words. No man is wise enough, nor good enough to be trusted with unlimited power. Mr. President, please stop playing God.
Pastor Tunde Bakari there saying, Mr. President, stop playing God. I mean, as reported by virtually all the papers we have this morning. Comrade, he said, he spoke about so many things in that statement. So what do you make out of it? He called the Senate, our Senate, as spineless, as nothing but a rubber stamp. I mean, he made mention of the dubious, according to him, using his word, dubious voice votes that they used to endorse emergency rule in Rivers State and so many other things he spoke about.
Yeah, I mean, well, the Senate specifically of the National Assembly has emerged as a totally spineless entity under the leadership, because it is not, when you say the Senate is spineless, that is putting everything in one pigeonhole. You will recall that that emergency declaration was endorsed in an executive session, and we learned some of what transpired.
Some senators staged the walkout.
And you see, some of these things that we see,
and some stayed away from the sitting that day.
Some stayed away because, I mean, they thought, those who stayed away must have been afraid that the chamber would have been subjected to a division and the voting would have been clearly seen. And some would not want to vote openly against the declaration because the Senate president is the one that constitutes those committees, those standing committees, and some of them don't want to lose their positions, and they don't even want to be caught on camera airing their opinion. What if they are accosted after the session by reporters and you are compelled? So, you see, what baffled me was that there's a constitutional prescription for endorsing the emergency, that there shall be an open division in the House, in the Senate. You know, that voice vote is not it. 2/3 majority. And then say the ayes have it. That's rascality. If not, that's an infringement on the constitutional provision. You see, Abbas, the House of Rep is quite a different kettle of fish. And they had to stage manage their own version of it. What do you call that one in the Senate?
Akpabio.
He didn't, because of the number, because they're just 108. I mean, he didn't have to stage manage anything. He just railroaded, you know. Somebody told me when the four, what do you call them, those bills, the 4 tax bills
Tax reform bills.
I said, would they sail through the National Assembly? And the man told me, in fact, our economic advisor, you know, on the show, he said, as long as Abbas and
Akpabio
are the presiding officers, anything will sail through the National Assembly.
One of the things Pastor Tuni Bakari said in that statement is the fact that the executive has the legislature in its pocket. Does it look like it with what is playing out?
Isn't it looking worse than the days of the one that just left before this one? The one from Borno.
He went ahead, he said, if this was the same Senate or the group of people in the Senate that were there during when President Obasanjo was trying to push for a 3rd term in office, this particular Senate would have approved it easily.
Oh, certainly, maybe the Senate will have approved it, but it wouldn't. You see, I've always had the confidence. I am privileged to have served in that House of Reps as a senior legislative aide. And you see the composition of the House of Reps. They had to stage manage that emergency declaration endorsement. They had to stage manage it.
We know what played out. We know what played out.
Choreographed. And that's apart from the money that exchanged hands. And that's not new. As far one legislator was telling me at a conference that there was a particular something that was against the South and they collected money. They said they just brought the list. They will have compiled the list. You understand?
We've had senators even come out to speak here, even on this program
They
before,
collected
saying
money,
that as far back as when Olusegun Obasanjo was pushing for a 3rd term, that money exchanged hands. That every member of the National Assembly was well taken care of, in quote.
Yes, they collected.
In order to approve.
It's not as if they told me I was there. I saw this thing.
So it has become a norm.
It's always been a norm. It has always been dollars. They will say, okay, Southwest Caucus. They have caucuses. Southwest Caucus, Northeast Caucus. So they will just get the list. And how many of you? They will just look for the caucus leader. If they can't get the caucus leader, the nearest person, they will just hand over the cash. Somebody is in charge of distributing, and they shall change each other. If they say they should give them 25,000, 20,000, will get it. Some people will ambush the money. You understand? They collect money. Some will not vote that way, you understand? But they will just distribute money to everybody. You understand? So, Akpabio, I'm not particularly surprised at Akpabio's conduct. You understand the circumstances in which he came to APC. You understand the circumstances, in fact, in which he got the ticket. This is a man that ran for the ticket of the president. And it is said that in the Electoral Act that you cannot run for 2 offices. I won't run for the office of president. He and Lawan and lost. They ran back to their states. And then they arranged kangaroo, what do they call them? Primaries. And then I remember I was asking a senior advocate of Nigeria in an interview. I said, this decision of the Supreme Court to say that it is only the secretary of the party that is empowered to submit the name of candidates, which in essence means it does not matter what happens at the primaries. It no longer matters what happens at the primaries. it is the secretary of a party that is empowered. So whoever the secretary submits is the candidate of the party. I said, so where is this one taking us? The man said it has taken us 22 years back. That's what the Supreme Court did. So, I think it was yesterday that said we're evolving, Abi, but the question is, in which direction are we evolving?
Now, the last part of the statement credited to Pastor Tony Bakari saying, Mr. President, stop playing God. Is Tinubu playing God?
You see,
Judging by the way things have been in recent past.
I think in the face of it, he's not saying Tinubu is playing God. But when you piece everything together, he said something shortly before that. He said Mutopak, he called the Mutopak politicking, legislative rascality.
He said state grabbing and stuff kind of thing.
State capture.
State capture, yeah.
On a few occasions, I've referenced the issue of state capture. And what is state capture? Everything that represents the apparatus of state, when people have appropriated it, things that look like the state. People are going around. Have you forgotten I think it was the Russian story. They say, when the king said, I am a Milka, I'm the state. I'm saying when somebody says a Milokan, and when you put all this,
he mentioned, he said Milokon.
When one king said, I am the state, that is why people in Africa, they confuse themselves when they are in office. You are not the office. You are the man. You are the man occupying the office. And when people are, genuflecting, doing KBC, and doing Rankadede, it is not you.
It is
the office. But people get confused and they think they are the ones being honored. You are not the one. Why is it that when people lose election, they stop receiving calls?
Their phones stop ringing immediately.
It is because he is still the man, but he has lost the office. So people should stop confusing themselves. And you see, even when they lose the offices, I know someone who lost a re-election, and then he was still going around 1 year after with the full complement of DSS and police, and he was blaring, saying, sustaining it from his own pocket. Where did he get the money from? He stole so much money for public funds. So that's why people just want to go around and you see, people require mental evaluation, because if they are balanced, how can you lose election and still try to go around as if you are still occupying that office? But I think, yes, I think Tinubu, the president, should be careful. He should be careful. He should be careful.
Now, a lot of people will say, okay, Pastor Tony Bakari saying all that, maybe he's just an embittered individual because he's a politician too, who lost out to Tinubu during the primaries. But another clergy, a man of God, that is Bishop Kuka, also had said something, but I'll read what he said. Okay, let me read the text now. Easter Kuka urges Tinubu to end hardship insecurity. Let me read it now. Now, Bishop Matthew Kuka of the Catholic Diocese of Sokoto has issued a passionate Easter message to President Bola Tinubu, urging him to rescue Nigerians from what he described as a cross of pain, brutality, and hopelessness. Now, let me read it. Let me quote him now. Mr. President, Nigeria is reaching a breaking point. The nation is gradually becoming a huge national morgue with a greater sense of urgency, hastening to bring us down from this cross of evil. Kuka said, I just quoted his word, and let me just read this one now. You neither erected this cross nor effected our collective crucifixion. Yet, Nigerians have been dangling and bleeding on this cross of pain for too long. Bishop Matthew Kuka to President. Is this the message to President? At least he is not a politician. If we are going to say that, Tony Bakari saying that he's a politician. maybe he's an embittered
In
person.
the real sense of it, Tunde Bakari is not a politician. You know.
Well, by our standard, if he had participated, taken part, and he attended, publicly campaigned, he's a politician. I mean, what else?
Well, you call him. Will you call Dele Momodu a politician? They are peripheral actors. You understand? They are political actors. They are
Okay.
not politicians. They are not engaged in the. You know, politics is a daggers drawn transaction. They are not involved in the daggers drawn. They are just doing peripheral politicking. I was even surprised the man went and dropped his 100 million naira. But maybe that would have gained him some visibility and claim.
But that wasn't the first time he was vying for the post of president. He did it during CPC too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Buhari chose him. Now, as regards Matthew Kuba, you know, has been very, very consistent for a very long time.
For a long
You
time.
know, when he was in Lagos as the secretary of the, what do you call it, headquarters of the Catholic Mission, he was always in the military era for about 20-something years now. Matthew Kuba, or 30 years in the military era. He was secretary in Lagos. And even as the Archbishop of Sokoto, you know the terrible things he said about Buhari's regime, and in which they engaged him and told him terrible things too. But the man is not faced. You see, in every society, there are people who stand as the conscience of the society. I am not too sure that Tunde Bakari still has that credibility.
Okay.
I'm not too sure. He has been consistent, but I listened to him again this morning, the things he said in Lagos in 2012 about Save Nigeria Group and the subsidy. They were the ones that, if that guy, the president then had removed the subsidy, we wouldn't be here. And that same subsidy that they insisted must not be removed was not removed. If it had been removed in an era where there was parity between, you know, between some form of parity between the dollar exchange rate to the naira.
To the naira, yeah.
You understand? It wouldn't have been multiplied by 4. I keep telling people that the price of PMS has not changed. It is only the parity. You know, the differential between the exchange rate of the dollar then and now, it is what has changed. If we just divide what we have by 4, you go back to the old price. So, Matthew Kuka has been consistent, very, very consistent, and he has not even said much. You know, he has not even said much in this administration.
But looking at the graphic picture he painted, Nigerians dangling on cross of pain, brutality, and hopelessness.
He's linking that to crucifixion.
To crucifixion, yeah.
And that's
and he admitted the fact that that Nigerians are not just being put on that cross now. That we've been there for long, but
Maybe
it's getting worse.
It's getting, of course, the longer you
He
spend
said
on it-
he admitted that this is not we didn't get here now. Before it
You
had been
know
there
now,
before
I
Tinubu
mean,
came
when
in.
you are hanging on a cross, I mean, the longer you stay there, the more excruciating, not painful now, not
Yeah.
pain now.
And he
Excruciating.
said the nation is gradually becoming a huge morgue, a national morgue.
What happened to the people that were laid to the cross? They will be drained of life, and of course, before they are drained of life, all sorts of things, the blood will drain, and then when blood finishes, the water too will
But it
drain.
is always believed that Nigerians are resilient people. Do we look like we are suffering?
I don't think Nigeria.
You still see Nigerians partying, going for shows and everywhere, and it contradicts, to me, it contradicts what we see in the papers sometimes.
Are they happy? You know, when you say people are happy, me, I do spot checking. I walk into a place, people are walking, people are giving, hello, how are you doing? Of course, you will expect that I want to buy something. I will just say, are you enjoying your work here? I say, you don't need, I don't need any, you have, by hesitating.
That hesitated,
Then,
he definitely doesn't enjoy the
you're not
place.
enjoying what you're doing. And I asked them, why are you conscripted? And we must stay alive. People are working because they must stay alive, not because they are happy. I know people who earn million naira plus in their places of work. They're not happy. The only thing propelling them, okay, will people go out if they were not going to get hungry? And if they don't have to pay bills? won't go anywhere. So some are driven by the fear of poverty. Some are driven by the fear of hunger. Some are driven by the passion for what they do. You are driven by the passion for what you do. We are driven by the passion for what we do. So different things drive people. But now, I think fear is driving people in this country.
In what way?
Fear of I must provide. You have responsibilities. I must provide. And when people are driven by fear, the tendency is for them to do unwholesome things. And then there will be consequences for that. Look, people are losing their humanity. Lots of things that we hear, and I ask myself, can you do ritual and then where will the money come from? Okay, they say they do juju and then it returns into money. Where do they get the money? Do they get money from the central bank of one branch of one bank or what? Or the money drops from space? You understand? And yet people believe all of that thing. CBEX and all the rest of it, all these Ponzi scams. It is a... I saw somebody lost 200 million naira.
Ways of, other ways of trying to survive.
Yes. So these are the realities that we're confronted with. People are challenged. Ask people how they are surviving. In spite of the those who work in government, they have those who probably are earning less than 100,000. Some are earning maybe 250, and all that. But does this solve their problem? So, I mean,
but when Nigerians, notable Nigerians, come out like this to say that okay, Nigeria is bleeding, Nigerians are bleeding, and all those things, it doesn't seem to sink into the minds of our leaders because they don't see it the way we are seeing it.
Damola,
Like there's a kind of disconnect.
Damola, when you, and I'm not even saying you are the one in the call, you are not the one in the cockpit now, in the driver's seat of government. Even for those who are in the corridors of power, like they're cooking in this place now, there is no way the smell, the aroma of what you are cooking will escape onto the corridor. So that is the aroma of power. Even those, that's why they say those...
Even those perceiving the aroma of power.
The corridor of power, they are intoxicated by it.
Let alone the people...
You cannot imagine the man in the pot of power cooking it or taking from it. Those who are in the corridor, they are intoxicated by it. The people believe that this nothing is going to happen or nothing can happen. Or they tell you, you see, they don't see the other side. They don't know the other side. You tell a man that there's this boy, Mind Boy. You know one of those books from South Africa, where he's in secondary school. The guy came from a terribly poor, where no meal is guaranteed. And then he was taken, small boy, he was taken to this grandmother's home. They had a dining table that is about 20 feet long, maybe 12 chairs around it. And every meal, the table will be packed full from end to end. Then the boy will take some of the cookies or whatever, you know, it's 3-course meals. You do the main meal, the dessert, and the pre-meal and all of that. So the boy will get some of the cookies, store it, and every meal, you know, one day he called the grandmother and said, "Grandma, is this how this will continue?" The grandma said, "What?" He said, "Our table will be packed full every meal." He said, "What's the problem with that?" He said, "Because me, I've been keeping some of the cookies so that just in case, because his room now started smelling." He said, no, it is guaranteed. Something guaranteed for that. One is even afraid in the midst of the guarantee.
In the midst of surplus.
So they can't understand. They can't. Look, it is the man that wears the shoes now. You need 100,000. You know, look, if you are connected with people in power, you might not even have the money. But you know when the need arises,
you see
snap your finger
and it will come.
That's
I understand. I can relate. Okay, it's 11 minutes past 10 on Solutions 93.9 FM. We have in the Monday morning edition, or let me say the Easter Monday edition from the dailies now. We have so many reactions. We just talked about Matthew Cooker's reaction. We talked about Tony Bakari's reaction. Now, looking at Atiku's reaction in the midst of worsening insecurity, let me look at this particular headline on the front page of The Guardian. Despair in Benue Plateau as killings hit over 284 in 3 months. That is on The Guardian. And on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune, Tinubu can't solve Nigeria's worsening insecurity. Article. And still, Article 2, Tinubu's gallivanting across Europe as Nigeria bleeds. The statement from Article.
You see, all of this is will hang on him because they have been dishonest. If and of course, if our Article 2, I will take advantage of it. Of course, everybody, you and I, Article knows that the president has gone on a medical tourism, and you know, he has crossed over to. We are told
That he was in France, but he has moved to London, according to.
So it's medical tourism. If I know, won't Article know? But if they have been dishonest that the president is on a working trip or what did they call it?
Working leave.
So what work is he doing remotely that is more important than the lives of
Over 284 people
just one
slain.
life is bad
It's
enough.
slain in 3 months.
Slain, you know, in cold blood. And but you see, it's like, you know, the office of the president. There is immunity. So those who are around him too, they must be feeling a sense of being immune. It is an ailment that afflicts people in power. You know those who say that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. That was said centuries ago, and it still applies. Only few people survive power. Power. Those who know how to navigate around power, sometimes you pinch yourself. Sometimes you go behind the protocol. I've seen a few people who tried, in spite of even their efforts to stay connected, people still complain that they were not connected. You know that?
Now, looking at the state of insecurity, it has really gotten out of hand in recent times, and it seems security forces are getting overwhelmed by the day. Now, let's take, for example, the spate of killings in Plateau and Benue in the last 2 weeks. Looking at the number of the series of attacks, and to date, no one has been apprehended by the security
he
forces.
said 2 people were apprehended. He said that sometime over.
He said it over
2 people.
2 people.
2 people killed
2 people because I saw the videos of some of this, the gory videos. There were
decapitated.
People were decapitated. I saw there was a particular video I watched that infants, toddlers were killed, were slain.
Put the fear of man, not of God now.
I mean, even what was the offense of those toddlers?
It is not about offense. It is to put the fear of man into those people that survived it.
And I also saw in the video I saw people being given mass burial. Over 50 people being buried in one place.
You know the point how many holes?
A family of 8 wiped off.
So it was to put the decapitation, not sparing even the infants, is to put the fear of man into those who survive.
And sadly, to corroborate the fact that probably our security forces are getting overwhelmed, a former chief of army staff, Major General Theophilus Danjuma, T.Y. Danjuma, came out and said that Nigerians, it's high time we start to defend ourselves.
You know, General Danjuma is Jukun.
Let's take a listen at the General Danjuma, Theophilus Danjuma, saying this to Nigerians.
I know we have a lot of problems, including security. As recently as 2 or 3 days ago, we've experienced kidnapping near Kashimila, and the threat of kidnapping will continue until we, every one of us, rise up and defend ourselves. It is quite clear the government alone cannot do it. I have warned very long time ago in a speech in Ukari, that our people must be prepared to defend themselves. That warning is as valid today as it was when I made it.
Former Chief of Army Staff, General Theophilus Danjuma, advising Nigerians to defend themselves. Now, when he was speaking, I just picture myself leaving my house. What kind of weapon do I need to carry from my home to defend myself? Am I to carry an AK or get a registered, a licensed pistol or a dagger? God save me if I run into a police check and these things are found on me. Is that not another wahala for me? When you're saying defend yourselves, I mean, Nigerians are just in a very complex situation at the moment.
In the days of wet here in southwest Nigeria, everywhere was on fire. I remember that for a very long time, the one they call KUTC. My father was a public servant, but he had one under his driver's seat. Short like this.
I know.
With a heavy edge.
I know.
Whether you use the sharp edge or even the rear, that will break
It's
anything.
a double-faced.
Yeah,
kind of
double
thing,
face.
Yeah.
My father had one under the driver's seat.
Always
Always.
as a means of protection.
Defend yourself now before you go. So maybe if somebody comes near you, you don't even need to cut. You use the rear end of it to break his bones. Maybe he wants to open your car door, break his head. So that's the kind of defend yourself. So before I go down, if you move near me, I'll take. Even if you get me, I'll take somebody.
Now imagine your dad then running into a police checkpoint, and they found that on him.
Defend yourself. It's an act.
Oh, okay. So if I carry such now and I run into a police check while driving and they find this and I tell is it something that police will?
You are not going to say you are going to defend yourself. You say, what if you get to you are traveling? I travel a lot at night. What if I go and in the rainy season the road a tree falls across the road? Will I stay there? I use this to remove the tree.
That's if you have an axe.
If you have an axe.
What if you have a dagger?
If you have a dagger.
To protect yourself, according to a former chief of army staff, saying that Nigerians should defend themselves. I mean, you can't defend yourself with bare hands, with bandits, with kidnappers coming with guns. I told you about an instance. I saw a 13, 14-year-old boy, like 7 years ago, with an Uzi automatic rifle, in the name of being a Fulani herdsman in a bush. Yeah. I saw it with my eyes.
Yeah. So, you see, we.
So how do I defend myself with bare hands in the face of such?
We play with. This is one of the things that the Christian faith and the Islamic faith has taken away from us. Our forebears had ways of dealing with it, but the Igbo came and said everything we do is evil here. So, but you read the scripture and I say, no weapon fashioned against you will prosper. So if you believe in it.
But the same Moyibos, I mean, looking at the United States now, people go about with licensed guns.
They don't say, they don't recite no weapon fashioned
and
against
for self-defense too. They will tell you for self-defense purpose.
This is guaranteed in the American Constitution because, the right of the people to carry arms. In fact, that was designed to ensure that government does not use the apparatus of coercion to overrun the people. That the people too, if they mass together, they can resist the government. But here, even if they see you with blade, and some people will carry with the submachine gun to hard.
To earn that is one thing I'm having issue with.
Damola, we deceive ourselves too much in this country. And I will say this again, what Dr. Ambassador Yemi, because the force of inertia, if it propels us, and it will certainly propel us in a dangerous direction, why don't we just manage it and face our reality? People are talking about state police. I said it is not about state police, it's about local policing. Let every community that say, okay, we are a community because we share certain things in common. And of course, security is common. The issue of security is common to everybody. The police is the primary agency for internal security. Where is the police? Where is the police? Have you heard about the police in the issue of Boko Haram? Have you heard about the police in Benue? Have you heard about the police in Igangan and the rest of it? Did you hear about the police?
Okay, as we wrap things up on the program today, David Mark, a retired military officer, a retired general too, and former senator. I think he was once the Senate president, two-time senator, Senate president.
The only one that has been.
David Mark. Now, this is coming from another retired military man, military officer now. He said, ban open grazing, create border security forces, David Mark tells federal government. I mean, why is it possible for the federal government, or is it not possible for federal government to ban open grazing? We make it an unlawful thing, at least to curb this migrating criminals.
There is no need to. We must not forget that we are in a federal union. These people are talking from the thinking of a military government.
But
federal government should ban open grazing.
Comrade, but some drastic actions must be taken.
Have states not banned open grazing? Some states.
I noticed that some states that have banned open grazing, some of them don't get this kind of attacks.
We are a federation. That is what the Constitution calls us. And the state boundaries are under the control of the state, not the federal government. The only thing that belongs to the federal government is federal capital territory, where they have only a minister, not even the governor, and where the president can issue instructions. You understand? It is only the minister that the president can issue instructions to. So, the federating unit decide what this one that the bank is talking about, ban open, federal government ban open grazing. You should tell the state governor to ban open grazing. You understand? They have a serious challenge.
Okay.
In Benue. How are they addressing it? What is he saying to the governor of Benue State?
Okay.
What is he saying to the stakeholders in Benue State?
So this should be addressed. The banning of open grazing should be addressed to the governors.
Yeah, of course, they are the ones in charge in their states. We are in a federation. We are federating units.
Okay, what about the other one? He said creation of border security forces, at least to stop the influx of this Niger, Chad, you know them, but the bandits coming from the Fulanis coming from those
are just flowing like a river from Futajalon around Central Africa, West Africa.
These borders are so porous.
There are no borders in some places.
There are no borders. You can just.
There are no borders. People just go to Nigeria and come back and sleep in Nigeria and go and work in Nigeria, sleep there, or sleep here and work in Nigeria.
You know, there was a video I saw that even there was a particular landmark that where I'm sitting right now in this studio is Nigeria, and where you are sitting is Chad.
Yes, I mean.
So if I can sit, I can be sitting in Nigeria and just stretch my hand into Chad. And these places are not manned by security
will
forces.
leave Lagos 6 in the evening and go to Lome, not even Benin Republic, to a nightclub. You know those French Francophone. Go to a nightclub in Lome
and come back into Nigeria.
Yes.
The following morning tourism.
You know, you can still do that now.
Yeah.
So, of course, ECOWAS has a treaty and all of that, but even our President Buhari said it is only God that can protect Nigeria's border. I said, aren't we in trouble? In the days of surveillance.
Wait. Buhari said that.
Yes.
A former general.
Yes.
That is only God.
And he was a sitting president.
that can protect.
I said,
And T.Y. Danjuma too, a former general, saying that Nigerians should protect themselves, defend themselves.
You know, Danjuma is Jukun, and they are and there is always terrible conflict amongst them in that axis. And of course, they are warriors too. I'm surprised that the Benue people have become what they are looking like now. They are looking too soft.
They are known. I know while growing up, they've known to be very tough.
I'm surprised.
They should be able to resist.
I'm
this
surprised.
way.
I'm surprised.
Okay, Comrade Ayodele Ajope, it's been a very wonderful time with you on the program. As usual, this Easter Monday edition of From the Dailies on Solutions 93.9 FM. So what are your plans for the day as we wrap things up?
Work. It's a Monday.
Work. Okay. All right.
Money making Monday, as you call it.
Money making Monday.
All right.
Okay. Thank you very much once again, Comrade
My
Ayodele
pleasure.
Ajope. Okay, that's the wrap for today. We will be back again tomorrow morning for a fresh edition of From the Dailies on your Super Dial Solutions at 93.9 FM. As you celebrate, please celebrate in modesty. Okay, my name is Adi Damola. Bye for now.